Hey guys, what's up? My name is Gabe and this is Games with Gabe, and in this episode I'm doing something a little different and going over what 5 years of coding looks like. So I started to learn about 5 years ago how to code, and the first language I was learning was JavaScript, and I started learning it from a plain old book. This is actually the book that I was using to learn how to code, and I just had a computer with no internet access and some HTML and Notepad web pages, and I just went at it and started learning how to code. And I learned a lot. So I'm going to show you the very first game I built, which was shortly after that. And unfortunately, I lost some of my attempts after that to build some games, but then I'll sort of show you the progression I went through and the different games I've made since then and the different programs I've made since then, because I have learned a lot and it has been a real journey, and I think you guys will enjoy this and enjoy seeing the things that you can accomplish in 5 years with some hard work and dedication. Alright, so let's check it out and see all the projects I've done in the past 5 years. Alright, so let's get on with it. You can conveniently find all the projects that I'm going to be about to show inside of my website here, which is just ambrosiogave.github.io, and it's also linked in the description of this video along with all my other videos. So if I just go to my projects and my coding projects, I have a bunch of them listed here. This is definitely not comprehensive, but it does cover a lot of the projects I've done over the years. And so if we scroll down right to here, now this isn't the first one in these entries, but it is literally the first game that I've ever made. And I can't take entirely all the credit for it because I did make this with the help of the book that I showed you guys earlier, but I did add a few things like some differing colors and stuff. And so this is the way it turned out. You just got some aliens that come down towards you and you shoot your arrows at them or whatever they are, your bullets, and you just try and make sure that they don't come and destroy the Earth, which is that round circle. Now, there's not very fancy collision detection or anything going on here, but it is what it is. It works and it's pretty good. And it does increase in difficulty as you go on. There does start to come like an enormous amount of waves of aliens that eventually just destroy you. Like, there's no way to beat this for real. So then I'll show you what happens. If one of them comes down to the end, then you die. And that was my first game. So not much, but you should really start with something very humble anyways, because it's hard to start with something big. But yeah, that was not very interesting. So let's go on to one of the more interesting games I made. So I made this one fairly soon afterwards. I don't have exact time frames because I just can't remember. I uploaded these to GitHub years later, so you'll notice that this says it was last updated on September 13th, 2018, and this one on July 21st, 2018. Now, clearly, I made this one first, and this was probably sometime in 2015, but I didn't know how to use GitHub then, so these were uploaded a lot later. But yep, let's check it out. So this is The Impossible Game, and I built it as literally as a clone after what you guys may have played in the past as a little Flash game called The Impossible Game, or World's Hardest Game, or something like that. But yeah, let's check it out and see how it works. So this is The Impossible Game, and as you can see, I have the character bouncing around, and if you click on him, you'll change the color of your character in the game. So if you just go ahead and click play, it moves the window first of all, because I didn't know how to make the window stay in the same place, but the premise of the game is very simple. You just try not to die, which these green things will kill you. And you'll also notice that this thing is extremely laggy, and it builds up lag majorly as you play. And so I actually built in a function to combat this, which I said just press F5, and what I basically did was I just rebooted the code, and so you'll notice now it's running a lot faster. This was because I had no idea what garbage collection was, and that the fact was that I was probably leaking a ton of memory and making this thing run horribly because of garbage collection. But yeah, so this is in the next game, and usually it runs better than this, but you know, it is what it is. And there is no sounds to this one. See, I have the message here that it starts to get laggy. And then you can also escape and go to the main menu, and you also have all your levels that you can click onto and play. So this was definitely a big step up. It wasn't necessarily executed in the best way, but I was proud of it because it actually worked. I did try to make Mario before this, but I had no idea what time complexity was, and I ended up developing an algorithm that was horrible for doing the physics calculations on Mario, and it would just crash your browser every time you tried to play it. So I gave up on that, and then I made this instead once I learned Java. So I believe the next thing on the list, timeline in my life, is probably this game, Laser Defender, which I made following along with the course from Ben and Tristram on Udemy for learning this new thing I learned about called Unity. Now, I had no idea what a game engine was before taking their course, and one of my friends at college was like, hey, have you ever used this? I've seen your games, and I think you'd really like this. And this was amazing to me. I was like, whoa, I didn't know you could use a whole engine to make this stuff so much easier, where it has physics and everything already done for you. And so this was one of the first games that we did, sort of using Ben and Tristram's course, and we can play it real quick and see what this one's like as well. This is one of the few that has sound too, so I didn't add sound to a lot of them, but for a few of them I did add sound. Okay, and so this is of course like the default Unity open mode or whatever if you just export a game. I'm not sure if this is like older or newer because I haven't really messed around with Unity lately, so I don't know if they've changed this in the past, but yeah. And it basically just opens up to this black screen. I was very minimal on the UI and was like, okay, just get it done. And this is the actual game. So you can shoot the enemies, but if you get hit by the rocks, you get injured and your health bar will go down. Notice that the health bars go down towards the center because Unity is annoying and they don't really show you how to, the UI isn't very intuitive. So it was very hard for me to figure out how to make the health bars go down from like left to right or something. And you got some power-ups that you can pick up. So inside of the Udemy course, they were like, oh, you could add a few of these things as some, you know, increasing levels of difficulty, challenge yourself. And so, of course, every time I was doing one of these courses, I wanted to challenge myself so I would learn about the different things. And as you continue through the game, you get different waves of enemies that you can then try and defeat, and they get increasing levels of health, not really any increasing levels of anything else. And then if you die, you die. So, once again, a pretty basic game, but it's definitely a step up from what I had been doing before. The graphics look nicer and everything. I didn't make these graphics too, I was using art assets, but it's definitely a step up from what I had been doing. Now, chronologically, the next thing that I did was probably this thing right here, which is just a simple poker game. So this was, I was doing a problem on Project Euler, which is some like math problems, and they were like, oh, make this program that determines who wins a game of poker using these text input things. And so I did it, but it was just a console application. I was like, it'd be really cool if I made this actually work with cards. And so then I built a little application using the same methods that I used for the Impossible game, using Java's Swing and AWT library. And then I made this little poker game. So we'll check out that real quick too and see how that works. Awesome, and I'm surprised this one actually still works. I wasn't sure if this would work, but I coded in some very basic rules of poker. Like, I'm not sure how all the rules actually work, so this was just my limited understanding of what it works like and everything. So, like, you can go into here, you can trade once, I think. I don't think you can trade. Yeah, if you try and trade again, it's not going to let you, and then you hit play, and it tells you who won. So in this case, the computer won because they had a jack, and my highest was an 8. And there is no reset state, so in order to reset it, you have to go into the command prompt and run it one more time. And you can see too, I was even printing out some debug information that I never really got rid of. And we'll keep the pair, and if we trade those, we got 2 pairs, and it says we won because the computer didn't. Computer doesn't actually trade or anything. I just give you random cards, and it does make sure that you guys get like random cards. You won't get any of the same cards because it removes them from the actual set and everything. So it works logically how a card game would work, but the rules aren't completely accurate, and the computer doesn't really do anything. It just has a random set of cards. But yeah, pretty cool. That was poker. Let's see what the next thing on the list is. So if we go to my projects, I have a lot of other stuff on here too that I'm not going to go over. So this was an old game too, but I don't think I actually made this a long time ago. I made this sort of when I was making these other things. So July 21st, 2018 is probably when I made this, and I was like, oh, I should probably just upload this because it's a game that I've made several times and I should have up there. Quad trees are something that I had done. It's like a spatial partitioning algorithm, and I thought it was really cool. So I first coded this in my first year of college, I think, in Java, and I didn't code it right. Like, there's a lot of problems with this and everything, but it was really cool because I was like, oh wow, now I can run my physics algorithm and it actually detects collisions properly. So there's not much to see there though. This green cube just sort of bounces around and then runs into these, and these turn red when he hits them. So we're not going to go over that either. Now there is this game, Flipping Gravity, which some of you may have seen on this YouTube channel. It's my very first video on here. This is a really simple game. It's an app on your phone that I made in Unity, and you can see I've got the Unity package manager here and everything, and you can go to this link and install it if you have an Android phone. I do have it on Windows. Let's see. Okay, and I have it as buy now. I'll make it free because there's no reason that this should be a application that you can buy, so I'll make this free so that you guys can play it. But I'll play this on my computer too real quick, and we can see what this is like. Alright, so this is the next game that I made, and once again, this was in Unity, and as you can see, I've got just some really simple stuff. You can turn on and off the music, so this one actually does have sound, which is kind of cool. You've got several skins that you can buy as you gain coins, and then you've got a bunch of different maps that you can also buy, and you'll notice that it also breaks the music every time you exit out of it, which is kind of annoying. And then you just click, or if you're on your phone, you tap to flip your character, and you just go back and forth and everything. And I made some simple animations and stuff, and I used some art assets so to change it up and everything. And then once again, as you go on, the speed picks up, so it becomes harder to keep going. And you can also do sort of like that flipping in the middle and stuff, which kind of helps you out. But this is the basic premise of the game, and it's very simple. Once again, you can download it on your phone or on Windows if you want to try it out and see what it's like for yourself. And it is very buggy. Like, there's some problems with it that just doesn't work. So if it doesn't work for whatever reason, try clicking the maps. Click that, click the skin, and click him, and then hit start, and it might work after that. I had a lot of problems with this, but you can try it out if you want. So definitely another step up, I think, from what I had been doing before. Now, let's get on to the real cool stuff. So that was some of my very early games and everything. I started getting into more complex stuff after this too. I have a book here that I have not written in a long time, so that's not actually going to happen. Yeah, I'm probably going to take it off this website soon. But here we go. This is something that I was super proud of. I called it Tradecraft because I thought that was original. But it's a Minecraft clone made in Unreal Engine. So let's boot that up real quick and see how this works. So this one is in Unreal. Clearly, I have Unreal up here, but it takes a while to download it from GitHub. But once you do, you can just click onto the Unreal thing here. And if you have Unreal installed, it should build everything for you. And then you can just hit play. Now, I did just build an exe from this, and I might ship this or distribute it on itch.io so that you guys can download this a little bit easier in the future. But let me know if you guys want that, because then I could definitely do that. But yeah, this one definitely deserves full screen. I spent quite a bit of time figuring out how to make this work and everything, and so I've just got this. You create the world. You can actually give it a name and everything, so just some world. And you can let it generate a random seed or give it a seed, sort of like Minecraft. And then you can create the world, and it just drops you into here, and you've got this cool little world and everything. You can run around, and you've got this awesome bloom and all sorts of effects that Unreal gives you very easily. So if I jump up to here and look for the sunlight somewhere up here, then we should get to see some cool god rays and stuff, which is just really cool. And I really like the ambience of this. Here we go. So you look into the sun, and you get this cool glare effect and everything. I probably have it turned up a bit too much, but man, Unreal makes it so easy to do this stuff. And if you go over here, you can go behind the trees and see these god rays peeking out through the trees. It is awesome. And you'll also notice that the leaves, they do move around and stuff. So you've got like these trees that are moving around. And I actually got pretty far with it. Like, you can break stuff. It's looking a little bit weird here, but it used to work. Maybe it doesn't work anymore. It used to work where if you would break these, you would actually get the drops, and then you could start crafting stuff. You see, you can open up your crafting inventory and everything, but looks like something probably broke when I re-downloaded it and everything. But yeah, I was really proud of this. This was definitely something that took me a while to do, and I think it ended up looking pretty cool. And Unreal just makes it look super nice. And this does generate more world around you dynamically. Now, no guarantees that it'll work correctly as you generate the world. You'll probably get some lag spikes, and it may even break. But, you know, for the most part, it does work. You can see the land sort of generating there in the distance as you go on, because I'm using sort of the same techniques that Minecraft used to do this. I'm using some Perlin noise and everything to just generate it based off of the seed that you chose. And these trees are horrible, I know. But yeah, so this was definitely one of my hardest projects game-wise. But I'm doing an engine now, which I would definitely say is harder than this. So we can mark that off the list. Also, if you download this, it looks like I never actually made a way to get out of it. So you may have to do Alt F4 or sort of what I just did there. But yeah, so that's that. But let's take a look at something else that's a little bit different. This is Dymond is what I was calling it. And this is a programming language that I was following along with a book, craftinginterpreters.com by Bob Nystrom. And man, this guy is amazing. Yeah, I need to finish this book because it is such a great book. And it looks like he has done a lot more, which is really cool. So basically what this is it's a book that teaches you how to code a programming language. And he goes through using Java for the first one. And I know you guys are Java developers, so check this out for real. He is such a great author, and you learn a lot. And then he teaches you how to do the same thing in C. So if I pulled up my programming language, I can actually show you how it sort of works and everything, and we can see how this works. So I'll sort of take you through as I try and get this up and running and see if it works, just in case you guys want to try this as well, because I do think it's a cool project and I'm really proud of the way it turned out. So I've just got IntelliJ open here, and then I'm just going to see, because I can't remember if I did develop this in IntelliJ or not. So we'll go new project. No, we'll go open and see if this works. And I just downloaded this to my downloads, so I'll go down to users down here and look for downloads, and we should have right here. And okay, yeah, so we got Java source, which does look like, okay, so it was with Eclipse that I did this, but we'll see if this works in IntelliJ. Let's see if I just hit Shift F10, what happens. Nope, nothing's gonna happen because I don't have the main. So if you just go into here and then you just hit Dymond, I think this should work. If we just go and hit run dymond.main, let's see if this actually works. And it works. Okay, cool. So we get the REPL down here, which is basically just a very simple thing I did. This will just print out some 3 lines, and then it will run my compiler / interpreter. And then if it has an error, it tells you what the error is. So like say I do 5 + 3. Then it prints out 8. And then if I say var a equals hello, and var b equals world, and if I say a plus b, then you get hello world. So this is like a full-on programming language, and you can do quite a bit. I can say for int I equals 0, till I is less than 3, I plus plus, print I. I'm not sure what the syntax is. I can't remember the syntax and everything. It says expect parenthesis after this. Okay, yeah. So you've got errors and everything too, though. I am really proud of the way this turned out and everything. It took a lot of time, and you can actually go through here and stuff too. Everything is broken down pretty easily. So like you can see I've got runtime error here, return, which basically just represents a return statement, expression, which represents an expression. And these definitely follow like along with the book that I showed you, Crafting Interpreters, very much to a T. But I did implement some of the things that he said, do this as a challenge and stuff, which I definitely tried. Oh, and let's see, if I do for var I equals 0 until I is less than 3, I plus plus, print I, there we go, then we get it, and we get 0, and I might have some debug stuff going on here because it looks like it's doing something weird. But yeah, this is a programming language. It took a long time, but I'm just really happy with the way this turned out. And you got some basic things that you can do in here. So if it breaks on you, I'm sorry. But I also don't know if I actually wrote anything about the syntax, which was probably stupid. Okay, yeah, so I do have a little bit of stuff with like some syntax. It does have class support. You can write classes. I sort of talk about the parser a little bit and the interpreter. But yeah, I never really did do the syntax. So there's that. But this is probably my biggest project yet. And I wasn't happy with this completely because I did follow along with a book with this, right? And I was like, okay, the true test of when you've mastered a subject is when you can do it yourself. So if we go up, nope. If we go down, might not even be on here. That's how, yep, I don't think it's even on here. Okay, so if we go to my GitHub and we go to my repositories and we just look down here, we will actually see something that I did do myself completely. And this is down here, Slick. Okay, so this was for one of my senior semester classes. This was a compiler course is what we did. And I really love the professor that taught this and everything. We learned how to really do a full-on compiler. And I went above and beyond. He said, if you can implement functions, try and implement functions. So I did. And the syntax is pretty weird for this too, because we were going based off of his language. We had to implement his syntax. So I don't really like the syntax, but it did work well for what we were doing. And this is coded entirely in C. You'll notice it says C is 87.7%. And then we used Lex and Yak, which are some other things. And then I have a make file. So if you know how to use C and stuff, you may be able to compile this. I think it should work. And you can just sort of do right up here. If you just do make pretty, that should make it for you. I had make and make pretty because the professor didn't want us to be organizing our files, which I hated. So I did this pretty thing, which basically just puts everything into a nice folder format. So, but yeah, and this compiles to a bytecode that our professor wrote a runtime for. And so, yeah, this one I did do completely on my own, and it was cool. You learn a lot doing this type of thing. So if you ever want to learn how to write a programming language, check out this book. It is amazing. I'll have a link in the description, and you learn so much stuff from this. And once again, it starts in Java. So you guys should be able to do it if you're following my tutorials. If you wondered what 5 years of programming, learning how to program can look like, I hope this gave you an overview. I literally went from knowing nothing about programming to where I'm at now in these 5 years, just through a lot of hard work and a lot of learning. You know, this book, our professors in college never recommended this book. A lot of the stuff that I did, the Udemy course that I took, none of my professors recommended that. A lot of the stuff I did was stuff that I sought out on my own just because I was curious. So my main point here is if you are curious and you want to learn, you can find the resources you need. And if you guys ever have any questions, leave a comment and I will link more stuff for you to dig deeper, because it is so cool, the world of programming. There are so many different things. And yeah, if you guys ever have any questions about anything, ask me. And if I don't know the answer, I'll point you to something that might take you deeper, because learning is awesome. And I just want you guys to be able to learn to the best of your ability, which is why I create the stuff I do. Anyways, that is it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you ever want to see anything else like this, let me know and we'll see about it. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks.